I got some 100mm square filters from K&F a while ago, and I had a few small problems with them, but they were like, okay, hold up. We're gonna fix that and we'll get back to you. So they've made some design and quality changes, and now we've got this kit right here. So we're gonna take a look at its design, its build, its optical quality, and we'll also check how it does compare to the original that I got a year or so ago, just in case you've already tried one of these. Plus, we'll talk quickly about square filters versus screw-on filters in case you're new to this, like I am myself. So let's get into it. Hey, what's up? I'm Scott and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing for more no-nonsense tutorials and reviews. So here's the timeline of what we'll be talking about, and you should be able to click on it down below as well if you want to skip around. But first off, let's just talk quickly about square filters versus screw-on filters for about 30 seconds. Screw-on filters, of course, have a filter size, and that means you either need a bunch of them or you need to use step-up rings. They can sometimes cause vignetting, especially if you stack them, and since they're round and fixed in one position, graduated filters for darkening only the sky don't work quite so well. With square filters, these being 100mm, you can cover a large range of lenses, from 49mm to 82mm with this kit, and of course the system is more complex than just a simple screw-on filter, but you also shouldn't have to worry about vignetting even when you stack filters up to 2 in the case of this kit. Light leak can sometimes be an issue, but this kit seems to have a pretty light, tight design. Plus, with graduated filters, which I have inside of here, you can slide it to wherever your horizon is located, and you can also rotate the whole thing as well. I'm not too much of a specialist in that type of photography, I will admit. I usually just rely on the dynamic range of the camera, but if you specialize in landscape photography, this is, from what I understand, an indispensable tool. One more thing to consider between screw-on filters and this square filter system is that screw-on filters often, not always, but often have more screw threads on the front of them that you can either put a lens cap on or screw another lens filter to. But this kit screws into your lens's filter threads, and that's it. So if you want to put on a lens cap, you'll have to then remove this adapter before doing it. So sometimes if you're moving quick from one place to another and you want to throw your camera in the bag, that could be a little bit of a downside. This is way more than 30 seconds, I'm sorry. I'll put the headline specs of the glass in this 10-stop ND filter on screen, but as far as price, square filters from certain brands can be more expensive. However, this ND1000 from K&F costs just around $60, which is about the same price as an average screw-on filter. So K&F did a great job with the packaging here. If nothing else, it doesn't feel like you're getting a cheap product whatsoever. The boxes have a nice magnetic unfolding top, and everything inside is very well protected. For the filter itself, you get a very nice, I guess, like leather case, which again has that magnetic top and a little strap here that you can use to pull the filter out without having to get your fingerprints all over it. This case is also fairly rigid, so it should protect the filter to a certain degree when it's inside your bag. And of course, it's nice and soft on the inside, so it won't cause any scratches on that glass. Again, you get 8 of these adapter rings for your lenses with filter threads all the way from 49 to 82mm, and the filter holder just snaps onto there by pushing the little tab on the side. The whole thing rotates pretty freely, and I do wish that they had a knob for tightening it down, but that's one of the few, possibly only complaints that I have. Compared to the older version of the filter holder, the new filter holder also has this kind of felt fabric around the ring here, so that should help to prevent any sort of light leak. I didn't really notice any major problems with the old one either, but this will definitely be a little bit of a tighter fit in a good way. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but you've got 2 slots in here where you can slide in those 100mm filters, and there's a little bit of a bent part of it that will hold by friction the filters when you slide them in. So here's a quick comparison of image sharpness with and without the filter on the 61 megapixel Sony a7R IV. I personally can't see any meaningful drop in sharpness, even at 100%. If you can, good for you. White balanced first without the filter, and then adding the filter and slowing my shutter speed by 10 stops to get my exposure. The ND1000 seems just a hair warmer, but the difference is very, very negligible, and it's a huge improvement over the first generation, which had a very strong blue cast. And just for reference, here's the same test with that old filter. Of course, this can be fixed with raw photos, but setting your white balance in the field will be much easier with less time spent fixing it in post when using the new filter. Of course, having the color correct in camera also just makes it easier to visualize your image when you're trying to get that perfect shot. Now here's a quick test of flare, or lack of it, with and without the filter. Again, no problems that I could find. Of course, there's no vignette even with a 16mm lens either. Overall, I'm very happy with the results, so let's check out a few quick sample photos. So I decided to do something different this time around, since I'm typically either a portrait photographer, maybe weddings, or a commercial videographer, and while the technicalities of a filter like this are something that I can totally appreciate and test and review, I found a handful of photographers in the KNF Concept official community on Facebook that have far more experience with the types of photography that a 10-stop square filter would typically lend itself to. Now keep in mind that some of these may have been using the older version with a blue color cast that needs to be corrected in post, but I figured that their work could definitely show you more accurately just what a filter like this can do for you in practical use. A huge thank you to all of them for letting me use their photos in this review, and be sure to check out their social media accounts for more of their work, and head over to that KNF group on Facebook because there's a lot of great work posted there. Anyway, as you can see, the main purpose for this is to drag your shutter and get very dramatic effects, which typically works best in nature to smooth out water or clouds. Something I want to try out for myself but I haven't had the time for yet is also to take a picture like this, an area with people typically walking through it, so that way with the long exposure they all kind of disappear. Anyway, you can get very creative with it, and as you can see, it will help you get some breathtaking photos. So without costing much more than even a very average screw-on filter, even including the adapter which can then hold any 100mm filter, two of them actually, the image quality from this ND1000 in particular is very good, and I can use it with pretty much any lens in my kit and not have to worry about vignetting, and I can then even combine it with something like a graduated ND for unevenly exposed scenes. I'm not typically a landscape photographer where I think that this definitely is most useful, but if you are, I think it's a fantastic value. Other square filter kits can cost a lot more, and while they may be worth it for pros in some small ways, for a beginner or for an enthusiast, they should absolutely do the trick without feeling cheap or really hurting the quality of the results whatsoever. For me, only using it occasionally, I would not feel any need to spend more money than this, and I've been very impressed with the quality of the filters from KNF overall. I will have another review coming soon for a variable ND plus polarizer screw-on filter that I've been using from them, and I'll compare it to the Peter McKinnon Polar Pro filter, so be sure to check that out. So that's about it, and hopefully if you're considering this kit, this video could help you make the decision, or if you have the older version, you can decide whether or not it's worth upgrading to the new glass without that color cast. But if you have any other questions or comments, please let me know down below and I will do my best to get back to you. Otherwise, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.